Welcome to Module 3, Preparation and Research. Let us begin this module with a quote from Plato, where he says, "Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men." In order to rule the minds of men, we do need to know. To know, we have to prepare. And to prepare, we do have to do a lot of research. And that is what this module is going to tell us. So, are you ready? Have you ever wondered the reasons as to why there are so few public speakers? Well, the main reason is we have very few people who think in private. Really? What does this mean? It means that before you actually go and deliver a speech, you would have to think about what you're going to speak and whom you are going to speak to. Thinking in private is going to make a whole lot of a difference between your success and failure. So, what is expected? Know what is expected of you in order to deliver that public speech. So be sure to know who exactly you are going to speak with, the kind of an event you are going to speak at. Probably you might have your organizers. For instance, in your classroom, your teacher is the organizer. And at your wedding or your friend's wedding, a graduation ceremony, your teachers, your mentors, or even family in the case can be your organizers. Understand what precisely do they want you to speak about. Maybe you have some specialty in mathematics, special ideas in physics, biology, medicine, artificial intelligence, and so many things you would want to speak about. So, what are you going to speak about? Or probably it could be something as simple as delivering a speech in your school about your hobbies. Understand your audience. Understand the age, the gender, and the occupation of your audience. Because if your audience are going to be really young, their expectation from you is going to be entirely different from an elderly audience. And if it's going to be predominantly female audience, it's going to be quite different from a mixed or an all-male audience. Well, once you've identified how old are they male or female, or is it going to be a mixed gender? What do they do for a living? Or are they children, youngsters in school, college students, fresh graduates, or a couple who are just getting married? Understand them. Because when you are speaking, you would have to address the general interest. Your topic would have to be based on that. Second, your audience knowledge. The audience knowledge of the subject is very important. Because if your audience know a great deal of information about the subject you are going to speak and you make an assumption that they don't know, it's going to be quite risky. And it's also going to be quite risky when they ask you that questions during the question and answer session. So don't go based on assumptions. Know what your audience already know so you can analyze or do research on information which they don't know and give it to them. And in case if they do know very little, you would have to give your information based on a little to a little more moderate. In case they know very little, you would have to spell out what, and in case they know very little, you would have to spell out every detail and explain every step to them based on whatever kind of information you are giving. For example, a doctor is called to address people from the non, for example, let us assume you are a doctor and you have been invited to address a group of people who are from the non-medical background. Can you really use your medical terms, your technical terms? Will they be able to understand? No. You would have to simplify the information. Can you speak in the same manner to a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old, a person who is 55 or a person who is 85? According to the age, the information which you are sharing should be altered. And even according to the educational background. So understanding the audience, their knowledge on the subject is very, very important because you would have to organize your information and compile your information based on their knowledge. The third one is, of course, the audience attitude towards the subject which you are going to speak about. Remember that some people in your audience are sure to hold views which strongly oppose your own view. It could be in respect to so many things. Let us say political issues, economical issues, plans, anticipation, and so many other things. People are always ready to object in case they have something that and third, the audience attitude towards the subject in which you are going to speak about. Because remember, not everyone in the audience is going to agree with you. There are always going to be some members of the audience who are sure to hold views strongly which opposes your own. This could be perhaps because you are speaking about beliefs that they don't agree with or see something on the same plane. So plan your information accordingly and always anticipate objections and make sure you know how to deal with them in your speech. Begin your speech by establishing your credentials so they would know that a person with knowledge is specifically speaking to them. And if you start or begin by speaking with your credentials, you might not have so much of opposition. Isn't that a quick tip? Right. Make sure that you know what you're speaking about and how long you would have to speak. Because if your audience have been assembled for a couple of hours to before, make sure that you know exactly make make sure you know exactly who you are speaking to and when exactly your speech is going to end, because there might be a possibility that your audience have assembled a couple of hours before you make your speech. They may be relieved if you can keep it brief so that the people who follow you, it is important that you make sure that you know exactly when you are speaking and for how long you will have to speak, because there might be other people who have to also speak and the audience may have assembled hours before you make that speech of yours. Well, they might be relieved when you keep your information brief and to the point. There might be people who precede you, or you might be following other speakers. So, if there's going to be a speaker whom you follow, know, make sure that your outlook is quite different from theirs and always be prepared with the answers. And in case your in case your organizer in case your organizers give you vague information about how much of time you have to speak, take responsibility and make sure you inform them that how long your speech is going to be and that you will not be or you will be taking questions afterwards, because the longer your speech is, in case in case you are expected. Another important thing which you would have to remember to ask your organizers is about the time. Well, there might be okay, there may be situations in which your organizers give you a vague information about the timing. In that case, take things into your own hands. Inform them that Inform them about how long you wish to speak and if you will be taking questions after your speech. There are some situations in which the organizers may ask you to deliver a long speech. In those cases, inform them well in advance that the last 15 minutes of your speech is going to be question and answer session. Ensure that your organizers represent you and as you would like to be represented. That is very important as the audience should not be disappointed. Finally, make sure you ask the audience about the Finally, make sure you ask the organizers about the size of the audience and the room layout. You will have to speak from big. Finally, finally, also know. Finally, make sure you ask the organizers about the size of your audience as well as the room layout, because you would have to find out if they have the right equipment available so as to engage each of your. Finally, make sure that you ask your organizers about the size of the audience and the room layout. Or probably because finally ask the organizers about the size of your audience as well as the layout of the room. You would have to also find out about what kind of technical equipment is available, because as a guest speaker, you may have to arrange the room in accordance to how you want it, as well as make sure that the right kind of a technical equipment is provided to you.